All right, welcome back. Here we are up at my neighbor's bees, and it has been 1 week since I added the food to the hive. They've each had a gallon of syrup, and they've been munching on that all week. I'm going to go in there and see how much they've eaten. I'm also going to see if there's any new activity, if the queens are still in there, if we have new larvae, any hatched brood. Just look at the condition and see if the food has helped them kind of get any more energy or any more storage of food in the past week. Let's get into the inspection and hopefully we find good things. Probably about half. All right, I'm seeing a ton of new bees. Little guys, little girls. Lots of little bees. But they're kind of festooning all over the frames, but there's no new comb being built in the bottom box. It's like these bees are smaller than my bees. They're little. All right, I don't see any deformed wings. I don't see any varroa. I know that's not an indication of actual varroa levels, but I don't see any varroa or diseased, deformed wings. Everyone looks very healthy, but definitely smaller than normal. Well, smaller than my bees. All right, this frame feels a lot heavier than last week. Wow. Yeah, this frame is packed. They have it packed with honey and syrup. The queen is here. You see the queen? This is a very heavy frame. Got a lot of capped honey here. Capped honey. I think they're starting to draw out some more comb on this. They're definitely working. Again, this frame is so heavy. They've totally stored all this week. This was not heavy last week. Look at all that new syrup and honey glistening. All right, there's brood in the middle. And looks like all the empty cells that are around the brood, they're filling up with syrup. Oh, I see an emerging bee. I don't know if you're going to see this. Right here. Right there. There's a bee emerging from a cell. Right there. Getting walked on. Hello. All right, I'm going to come out and say it. I'm impressed. 1 week, and there's a noticeable change in this hive. They're a lot more calm. Last week, they just seemed to be all over the place. There are three really heavy frames of honey. Last week, it was like maybe 1.5. They're actively drawing new comb, and I do see emerging bees. So there is brood in there, there's a queen, and she looks like she's laying. There's also a lot of yellow jackets, and they are totally defending the hive. They're attacking. It's impressive. All right, they have capped honey all over to here and all the way over here. Looks like the outside frames are mostly empty. And I'm gonna get some smoke because they're a little bit pissed off. Okay, we definitely have a vibrant upper box here. All right, I see some drones right away. I'm here to help. I think I'm gonna just have a look on the bottom board. A bunch of junk, but I don't see anything. I don't see any beetles. I don't see any larvae, like worms, and I don't see any. I don't see any mites. There might have been a couple of dead ones, a few dead bees. So much brace comb. Little pockets of honey. That's pretty full of honey there. Pollen. Some pollen and some capped honey. Drones, drones. Storing honey or nectar or syrup. These crazy huge combs is sticking out way beyond the frames. It's like they're drawing out a little comb here. Watch out, bees. You're gonna get squished. All right, I'd like to see if there's any brood on the top box. All right, I have a packed frame of nectar and syrup and honey. That one's packed. There's one good one. brood, nectar. Looks like they're drawing out comb on this frame. We're working. All right, so we have two really solid frames of honey stores here. This is heavily braced. All right, you don't want me to move that one. All right, a lot of honey just fell out of that. It's definitely a weird brood pattern. It's just brood, kind of sporadic. There's brood, but there's tons of syrup and nectar there being stored. I guess the brood's in the middle. Nectar everywhere else. All right, they do not want me to be here. All right, here's something I do see. I see a larva or a pupa. It's an open cell. And I can see a varroa mite on it. On the cell, or on the pupa that's in there. And there is a bee. I don't know what it's doing. It's checking it out. That bee is tending to this pupa that's in there. All right, I see another mite on a bee. I see larvae, like living larvae in the cells. They're being fed. I do see varroa. I have seen two. Pretty normal brood pattern, but looks like they're filling up all the empty cells that were brood. Looks like everything that was an empty brood chamber is being filled with syrup. Still drones on this frame. I see the queen. She was here. Where did she go? She was right on this frame. Normal brood pattern. All right, I see a bee with messed up wings. Just one. Super heavy frame of honey. Okay, so on hive number left, we have, it's a stronger hive. There's a lot more bees in there. There's definitely brood in there. There's larvae in there. There is a lot of nectar and a lot of, they're filling in all of the, wherever the brood had hatched. They're definitely packing all that with syrup right now. It's like they're backfilling anytime bees are born, they're just filling that with syrup. The bottom box on the stronger hive has maybe, I mean, every frame has something on it, but it's like these big globs of comb with honey. There's no really nice drawn comb. There's like these big sort of tubes of honey. Out of 10 frames, maybe a total of 3 or 4 frames worth of honey in that bottom box. The top box, all except one frame, has comb on it. And there's a lot of nectar in there and, like I said, some brood. I did see varroa on the strong hive, and I did see 2 bees that had totally messed up wings. There was that one pupa in there where I looked into the pupa. It was exposed, the cap was off, and there was a varroa sitting right on the head of that bee. We have varroa for sure in the second hive. So that's another thing I have to deal with or think about if I'm going to bring these down to my bee yard. So I'm not sure about treating this late in the season. I don't know if that's smart to do. So the other thing we can do is just go with a no treatment scenario. You know, keep these bees up here, no treatment, and see what happens. Do what people had suggested on my last videos, because I might not have the option to treat this late in the season, unless maybe I do oxalic. I'd have to go get the oxalic vaporizer thing and do that whole deal. I might be able to find someone that has a vaporizer we could use, but it's, you know, my options now, it's getting late. We're in October right now. There's probably another month of decent weather here, and but there's like no real pollen flow right now or nectar flow happening. So it's going to be whatever I feed them, that's it. So even though there's more bees on the stronger hive, I have to say that weaker hive has bounced. It's totally looks different than it did a week ago. So weaker hive, I'm not sure you want to call it weaker hive anymore. It's a smaller hive, but it is vibrant. They have packed a lot of honey into that top box in just a week. So I'm going to give them another full week to pack even more, and we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to go get some syrup and reload these hives with fresh syrup for the week. It's actually a little escape hole right here, so the bees can get out of here. All right, so what did we learn today? They're definitely taking the syrup. Things are looking better than last week. The hive on the left, which is the strong hive, which has a full medium and about maybe 4 total frames of pulled comb with honey stores on the bottom of the left side box. So that one is, there's more population, and they're definitely feistier. They do have varroa, and they do have, I did see deformed wings. Hive on the right, which is the weaker hive, has a queen that is definitely moving around. I did see larvae, I did see a brood pattern in there. They have totally filled up 2 frames in the last week, just with feeding syrup. That were not full last week, so they're packing in the syrup. It feels like it just feels more alive. I don't know. The other one feels alive and feisty, but this one, it just feels a lot more alive than it did last week. I think the feeding has really turned them around. I did not see any varroa or any deformed wings or any hive beetles. Nothing caught my eye. I really looked hard at the frames. So let's wrap this up. What I'm going to do, I have 2 gallons of fresh syrup, 1 on each hive. They're going to eat for the week. It's going to be a nice mild week here. So temperatures are going to be up. There's not a lot of forage, but they have a gallon of syrup just sitting right above their hive. So they should be just packing that stuff into their hive. 1 week from now, I'm going to try and make a decision. Now, the prevalent options are combine the hives, keep the weak hive as a nuke, or if they fill up more frames, to keep it as just a hive, or to do this sort of double queen 2 hive scenario, which I do need more information on. So please comment on that if you know anything about that. Again, what I have to contend with is there's definitely varroa and there's definitely problems in the hive on the left. Hive on the right could have problems, but I don't really want to do a test on that hive because I don't want to kill any bees because there's just not a lot of bees. I did not visually see any varroa in that hive on the right. Hive on the left, definitely varroa in the cells. So if we combine hives, we have a varroa hive situation, and again, it's October 3rd right now, and I don't know about treatment. I don't think I want to do the quick strips this late in the year because if there's brood loss, they're not going to recover at this point. We could also go the experimental route and not treat. Might make a lot of people happy. Maybe I'll get some subscribers back. Either way, I would love advice. I'm going to go read about this stuff. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, but I love your comments and I love the feedback. So please comment below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in a week.